Anything else? Do you know?
Under executive, there'll be a number of the members from the squad, just different timings.
I'm over make the change.
I'll say.
Are you started? Okay. 'Cause I officially didn't really open up the meeting there. Alright. So, motion's been made by Pierre and seconded by Phil to add discussion on the land on Longley Bridge Road as part of the agenda. Any more additions? And having none, all those in favor of adding this to the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes, so that has been added to the agenda.
I came across the original email from that woman the other day. I was going
Oh.
through some stuff. And she was given the land too.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
That's
She
good.
was given, it was given to her back in like the 70s or something.
That makes sense, yeah, that was
They
good.
had some business, she went on to tell about all these businesses that they had and blah, blah, blah. And she was thinking the same thing, it was gonna be kind of like a green space type of thing.
Yeah.
So we should do the minutes real quick for November 21st.
Is it a Google what?
Calendar.
Okay.
Looks alright, I guess.
So do I have a motion to approve?
Sure. I'll move.
I'll second.
A minute. You gonna second, Peter?
Phil made the motion to approve, Pierre seconded the motion. Any more discussion? Have none, all those in favor of approving November 21st minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes, minutes are approved. Okay. And we have Margot and the rec committee.
It's just me and Catherine tonight, but. So we just wanted to take some time to just start a discussion about a few things that have been coming up in our meetings in terms of moving forward with planning, for next year. What it's gonna look like for funding. First thing is, we've talked a lot about the need for a playground in the community. Right now, all there really is a school, and it's very limited to how much you can use it, and it's really quite small. There's not much involved in it. So one thing that was mentioned is we're calling it COVID money. I think is ARPA funding. And if that would something like this fall under the parameters of that sort of funding? And is there any money that could be used for that? I guess is our first question.
That's
That's a tough one.
That's yeah. Fortunately, the way the funding came through, it came through to the two road districts, so it didn't come into a general fund.
Okay.
So we've done this with the ambulance, but we have to request the trustees for that portion of the monies for that half of the population, basically. So it is a little difficult. I don't know if it's.
Okay.
Might not be impossible if you met with them and asked if they would be willing to match an amount that we would match. I think most of theirs was earmarked already, if not all of it. It's worth the question. Questions are free, so.
Okay. And then in terms of like, if we wanted to move forward an actual playground, like, are there municipal regulations or parameters as to what type of equipment we purchase, or like, can we just go to Costco and get, you know what I mean? Like,
I would assume.
That would be a good question for Vicki Abear at the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. I think she could point you in the right direction about what they would be looking for
Okay.
for safety insurance wise. One
Okay.
of the experts.
Okay. And who would determine where the equipment would go? Like, we would like it to be here, you know, on the rec fields if we could, but who determines that location specifically?
Well, I think your committee, right? I mean,
Okay.
we have the plans. Do you have a copy of the plans?
I believe so.
I think they did have a playground.
They might
in
have, I
them.
just looked at that.
Yeah, like the master plan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it called for.
Did it?
I do think that, yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember that, Larry?
I'll have to look.
I'd have to look at
Seems
that.
like there is, I just looked at that the other day too, I was going through all my
I
stuff.
think it's under the back.
I think so. It might be on that
Let me see if I have a copy.
plan that's not developed yet, though, but.
Yeah, because down here, it's kind of, they're looking to make that into parking, so it would have to
In
be.
that corner up there,
And
probably.
is that the land that's like in question with the village and town?
I don't think.
No.
I think
No.
that's over here. No.
Okay.
I think, yeah,
I
it's
think
like,
that, isn't that corner like mowed and stuff over here?
The corner is,
Up from where we did the dugout, in the room up on the other side of
I
that?
have the map, but I don't have the plans.
Where the, like behind the storage room?
Yeah, up in that corner there, isn't there a room in that?
Yeah, there is one up there, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, this doesn't,
it doesn't show the plan, it just shows the land that we own.
I think it's,
I was thinking like up in here?
So that corner is
No,
what the
that's-
village owns, where your pen was.
Where's that, like in here somewhere? Like up in here?
What are you talking about?
Nothing goes on between here.
yeah.
Or here.
Yeah, it would make sense to have it.
Yeah, out here, I think they were talking about basketball court, because if they're gonna put parking there, they were gonna move.
Move the court.
How,
Court there, but
I
this is,
actually think parking would work better out back and keep the court where it is, and then you wouldn't have the expense of moving.
I actually agree. I think
big-
if you just expand
you-
the parking.
you would have to do the parking down here, there'd have to be a lot of excavation, a lot of different,
I think you try to keep it central
where
as
it
where
is.
it is now. You could do a little blasting and just do some earth moving behind the building.
but,
how permanent would you wanna make this? I mean, is it gonna be something we're gonna have to build this whole thing around, or is it something that can be moved?
Well, I guess
Like
it would
Like a
depend.
fenced off area on grass and then just set the equipment in there and move it if need be or something like that?
Yeah, and I guess it would depend on what type of equipment we would, you know, need to get.
How it needs to be
Funding
mounted.
available.
And the funding available too. I mean, because we even said, you know, potentially, if we don't have a lot of funding, then it may be a matter of getting piece by piece, you know, just one
Mhm.
structure to start with, and then we'll
It's something they can add on to.
add on to it, right? So,
yeah, I think it was somewhere.
I think it is, yeah.
Because I think it wasn't
Yeah.
too far from that building, but.
I think it's a great idea for a playground. I
Yeah.
think that's so needed.
It's
It's
so
very
needed.
needed.
You see the
When the
amount of-
parents are here watching something, it
Yeah.
helps keep the little ones
Yes.
occupied, and so then you're not so scared.
Uh, you kinda see
the
that-
amount of kids that were there last night in the park. It
But
was
also, the school
amazing.
playground is off limits for
yes,
a
lot of the time.
a long part of the day, you know,
Oh,
so.
And
really?
is it,
Even
was it my
weekends?
understanding that it was completely off limits during COVID and all that? Was
It
that-
was shut down during
Yeah.
COVID,
Okay.
and then for after-school program, they can access it until,
Right.
is it 5 o'clock?
so after school gets out at 4:45, so really the playground's not available to community use until about 5
That's too
o'clock.
bad.
Yeah.
During, you know, during school schedules, so.
That'd be a really helpful.
But just seeing the amount of people with kids here last night in town, it's really something like this is definitely needed, you know? Keep the
Another-
kids occupied.
Possible to get a
Another-
copy of this map?
I might have the master
I was
plan.
gonna say,
I
I
think
have-
there's a website where that it's.
I have,
think
I
you're
have
right. I
a
think
whole
you're right.
pack, yeah, I have a whole,
We can print it off for you.
yeah, with everything.
There's like an
all-
actual
yeah.
layout of everything
everything.
when it's gonna be completely
Everything.
done.
Cause it was broken down kind of into phases, like phase one
Right,
is do
I
this.
do remember seeing that,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I know
'Cause remember,
Linda
we
Collins
talked
isn't
about that
on
with
the
that
Richford board anymore,
land.
but
Yes.
We were
she
gonna
may be
move-
Yes.
someone to reach out for, because I think they did that in Richford with some huge grant too. They did a bunch
Yeah,
of
they do have a
playground,
down
and I
below there in the
remember,
hole.
you know,
Yeah.
they did a lot, they get a lot there.
Yeah, and they're starting a good rec committee up there too, might
Yeah.
have to reach out to them and ask
In terms
them
of grants.
what grant that they were
Okay,
awarded for those particular items. Maybe it
Okay.
comes around yearly.
right. Okay. All right. All right, I think that's all we had for the playground. The next thing that we had on the list was, so the rec shed. The floor in there is terrible. Needs to be replaced. I don't know if there's been discussions already in repairing that, or,
There have.
Okay.
So it's not the roof, it's the floor. We're not sure what made the floor rot out, so we need to have Joe's crew come down and take a look at the drain. I think it's a drainage problem.
okay,
It's the only thing that makes sense.
okay,
So we do need to get him down here sometime and look at it, and then fix what's making the problem, and then have somebody come in and replace the floor.
okay, okay. And then the door also, the key can be very finicky in that door, especially if it's really cold for some reason. I don't know if that's something we could easily replace, like, even if it was a key code, it might be better than having a key.
Where's that
Um,
guy?
So I just wanted to mention that, cause it can be, the key can get, it gets stuck.
Maybe
gets stuck.
I can go take some WD-40 in the
Just
meantime,
spray
it.
come up and just spray it.
Yeah.
It might just have some,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I didn't know if
rust in
it
it or
had anything
something.
to do with like the shifting of the floor or
Yeah.
anything too
It might
crazy,
do that.
but
It's always never.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very
Always.
finicky. And I just didn't know if maybe if at some point if we replace that door with, like I said, with a key code.
Codes are easier.
Yeah, and that way we don't have to, worry about anybody losing the key, so. Okay, so that's already kind of in place. And then again, in terms of the rec field, we talked about this at our last meeting, and I kind of, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that it falls under my umbrella of responsibilities to like maintain the soccer field in terms of painting it and the basketball field, the basketball court. If it is, then I'm I'm wrong. But I feel like that's a missing piece. Like the basketball court never got painted this spring, and it definitely needs fresh paint. The nets I don't think are necessarily in great condition. Like I'm wondering, I don't know if we can bring someone on to do that kind of stuff in the spring. The goggle pit needs some maintenance, the door doesn't shut right. Or does that fall under my scope? Like, is that something I need to be doing?
I think you can hire most of that. I mean, I don't think previous people have.
Yeah,
We need a professional to paint it.
Right.
paint the basketball
Right.
court. I feel like that should be painted every spring depending on how well this paint holds. And even the soccer fields, I know my understanding is it's left up to whoever is using the fields, but I kind of feel like it should be painted every spring and kept up in the
How
summer.
long does the paint stay? Because they're
Depends on the
mowing.
weather. Depends on the weather. Like this fall, the paint was gone because there was so much mud on the fields, it didn't last very well, so.
So
it
the
really-
mowing doesn't affect the paint?
I mean, it will, yes, it will, but it will stay for a little bit. I mean, it does need to be redone, between mowing and weather, it, depends how long the
What was
paint
the
can stay.
question? I didn't know how far down it stank.
Well,
I'm not a soccer player.
realistically, yeah, you're right, as you mow, as the
As
grass
you mow,
grows, it
it's
comes
gonna,
up
yeah,
through,
you're gonna have to redo it. I mean, I feel like it's something that has to be done, maybe not so much in the spring, maybe starting in the summer, because we do, like, if we have people using the field through the summer, and then definitely through the fall, as kids are practicing on it, and it's being used for, little stingers and stuff like that.
Do we own one of those, like,
We own
the
like,
paint line
we
painter
do
thing? You do
own
have,
that,
so it's just a matter of.
but we don't own, as far as I know, we don't have like a measuring tape,
Right.
and stakes to stake
To
out the
figure it out,
corners.
right.
So who has done it in the past?
So this fall, Zara Kaforia, I'm saying that right? She did it for soccer. She was a coach, and she said, I'll volunteer to paint the fields because her team wanted to use the fields, like they reserved to practice on there. So she did it. And I that's why I know we don't have, because I said we have a thing to paint the lines in the shed, but she said, well, you don't have the stakes or the measuring tape, and she borrowed it from the school and did it. So we don't have all the equipment we need, and we don't have anyone doing it.
I
Yeah, cause
We can,
I think,
we can look into
I
that.
think we're probably maybe Randy used to do it.
So
I don't know who ever did it because it was
Randy
never,
did it this
never
summer.
brought up to us before.
Summer,
So.
Randy did summer soccer here this summer, so I know he did it for his program. But it's otherwise not done.
Okay.
And like, I don't know about the nets. I mean, I'm sure the nets at some point are gonna need to be repaired or replaced, you know. So,
Is there anybody in the vocational center or anything, or some kids that need community service that could do some of that, maybe?
right,
I don't know. That, like your,
The painting and stuff.
like your repairs and
Yeah.
stuff, I wonder if the building trades class would
right,
Yeah.
pitch in and do some of that stuff or whatever, I don't know.
right.
Just a thought,
Yeah, because they're supposed to do something with a historical building there.
you know.
Yeah.
Who's is it Josh? Not Josh.
No, Seth.
Seth Hungerford.
Oh,
Hungerford's doing that.
yeah.
Actually, another good one too, Margo, I know we use them a lot, but they've been good to us as the JRTC kids.
Right.
Yeah,
They've been,
there's some excellent volunteers from the high school. I just think we need to be mindful to make sure that it's something that's able to be done regularly. You know, if you're
Right.
dealing with a handful of kids,
right,
they may or may not show up, and this is a community space, so
Right.
it really needs to be a reliable source. So it's a great idea,
Right.
you know, if we can get somebody to take it on as a longer term project,
Right.
you know.
Even painting the baseball fields, like, I don't know who's doing that. I mean,
I think
is
the
Little
Little League
League
does
just
that
doing that?
themselves.
The Little League takes care of
They
that.
just do that themselves,
Yeah, because we get the dirt for them.
and then they just do the
Shauna
rest.
comes
So
in.
it's mostly the soccer field, the basketball court, and the go-go pit really are the 3 areas that need to be maintained. Yeah.
Well, we'll put that on your agenda.
Yeah, put Brigham on the payroll, have him come do it, huh?
You know what? He probably would love doing something like that.
Well, he has little jobs here and there.
Who's that?
whatever.
Chris?
Chris Brigham,
Oh, yeah.
probably,
yeah.
Yeah.
probably.
Hello, Central Enosburgh, Gateway. Please respond 328 School Street. 66-year-old female, difficulty breathing, chest pains, and low O2. Sonoma Central, repeating a page for Enosburgh. Ambulance, please respond 328 School Street. 66-year-old female, difficulty breathing, chest pains, and low O2. Sonoma Central, stand by for acknowledgement, 1819.
Okay. And then the last thing we had on our list, I just wanted to discuss the plans for the armory in terms of the rec center space and if there's plans for flooring. Because right now, the current floor in there we feel is a liability for injury, and we can't. It's really going to affect like our potential revenue for any indoor soccer leagues, Little Stingers programs, anything like that. So we just wanted to discuss what that plan looks like.
Yeah, right now we're just trying to get into the building and, well, Jesse can speak to it a little bit there, but anything we do in that building, it has to get approved through the fire marshals because there's supposed to be a sprinkler system. And we're basically getting through right now, but anything we do going forward has to meet certain specs. So if we do put a different type of flooring, it has to be an approved type flooring. We do know those grooves
Yeah.
need to be filled. We were hoping to do a whole floor, but that's probably gonna be pretty expensive, and we're just trying to get in there right now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely on the horizon because we want it usable even for, you know, the elderly people want to use it for walking, and
Yes.
and we're gonna use it for probably meeting rooms and stuff.
Right.
we looked at I think we talked about it, like it's like a basketball floor, kind of flooring with a rubber backing on it. It has a high PSI count, so if you do have multiple, you have rec uses, obviously it's covered, but at the same time, if somebody comes in with high heels, it doesn't, puncture the floor. It has a good kind of bounce back. it's a very good candidate for that floor because it is so level and we wouldn't have to do a lot of prep work with it. But that is a 5,000 square foot room. So the cost wise, I think it was like 75,000 to do that entire floor in there. It definitely can be done. Like I said, it is a class 1 fire rating. So even though we did get our exemption, our variance from the fire marshals to be a non-sprinkler building, that will qualify. So it's not like putting in a wood floor where it's a combustible.
Yeah.
So we can do it. It's just a matter of, you know, once we get, like Larry said, we get in there, get all of our stuff cut and, you know, do all of our demo and stuff, and then we can put it in, but it's money ultimately to purchase. So
What's the lifespan of the flooring?
I have to look. I have samples. You're more than welcome if you want to stop in. I have a bunch of samples. It's a I can't remember the PSI rating now, but it's got a rubber backed cushion on it. This company does it all over the East Coast. They do, actually I think they did the floor in the elementary school. They've done the rec floors in the Collins Pearly. So, I mean, we looked at just a regular kind of wood laminate, but I mean, the possibilities are endless for different colors and different everything, so.
So sorry, I'm probably a little more in the dark here than everyone, probably. But what are we looking at for time frame?
As far as in the armory?
Yeah, in general.
Hopefully, again, we're in there working now as we speak. We had an abatement process. I don't know if you're aware of that. We had some windows and we had asbestos in the caulking of the windows. We had like 27, 29 windows we had to remove. We had to do a lead dust wipe. That kind of slowed us down. That abatement process is done and everything, so we're able to be back in there now. We're currently tearing out walls and putting up new walls and cutting holes where there isn't ADA requirements, and we're doing it as we speak right now. We're waiting on final vault plans because we have to have our new vault for our records. Personally, this isn't anything from them, this is just me being involved in this. I'd like to see if we could be in there by town meeting day. But again, that's just my personal goal, that I'd like to see us in there, so.
So is there different flooring going into like the offices too? There is, okay, okay.
Some of the flooring that's in there was part of the abatement deal that it has to be non-disturbed, as long as we can go over the tip, we just can cover it up, and
Okay.
that's so.
Yeah.
Most everywhere in the offices that you see where there isn't flooring in there, there's gonna be flooring.
Some sort of flooring, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so for that floor, like Jesse's talking, it might be something we discuss during our budget time and maybe put in front of the voters for town meeting, so, because right now there's no, you know, we don't have
There's
that
nothing,
money,
right.
we'd have to take a loan out and stuff for it, so.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that is something, if they were interested, if your group was interested in, we certainly do some sort of ad campaign, asking the voters to support X number of thousands of dollars and tell them how many, you could ask me how many years we could go out on it, and, you know, like the firemen did that year when they did that whole promotion, when they wanted that new fire truck.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, see, you mentioned like soccer league and.
Yep. Well, like Randy has reached out a couple times about doing an indoor soccer league. So that's potential revenue we could get for him using our space. And right now, like Little Stingers programs, like we don't have, like we do have the elementary school for this winter for basketball, but it's very difficult to get in. So if we had our own space, we could have longer seasons, we could have multiple seasons, you know, it could really expand what we're able to do. Because it is a struggle scheduling.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I've always known it's
And
horrible.
it's such a tiny little gym.
Using
That's
the
elementary school.
cafeteria basically,
Yes.
and everybody comes in with wet boots and
Yeah.
you're in a little tiny box.
But
Yeah.
I think it's important to mention that these are just a couple examples.
Right.
Right now in the town, there's such incredible momentum and energy coming from all different sources, and there's a great need. You know, our youth are asking for stuff to do. All age children are involved in what's happening in the town, and they are fundraising their own money, you know, to put stuff down in the field because there isn't anything. So I think it's really important that we listen and really put some effort into bringing this to fruition.
Well,
because the space would be
We're
valuable.
working on the hockey rink or the skating rink over there.
Yes, yes,
So, it'd be like a new little center going up there if we can
yep,
bring this into
Yep.
fruition there and get more space for them in that building, because that's a great area.
One of the other
I've
things-
also been asked, sorry.
No.
I've also been asked a lot about indoor pickleball. That's like huge right now, and I mean, a lot of people in this community are traveling to St. Albans to play indoor pickleball. So I get asked about that all the time. Are we gonna be able to do indoor pickleball?
Well, and even like, this is terrible, I call it granny yoga. I come to granny yoga here on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
It's a packed house.
yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
yeah.
The Rossi's groups are just phenomenal. You know, there's just a lot of different movement going on
Yeah,
right
I think
now.
we could have that space full a lot of the time if we, if, you know.
So the
was
design of the armory, one thing that's really been taken into consideration is allowing for that big space, because at the end of the day, it is our office space, but we can have everything shut off completely, so you can have soccer, basketball, whatever, so you can kind of transform that space from an office setting, meeting space, to a rec space, so doors can all be locked, and if you hit the door, it's no big deal, it's, designing it with that in mind, so we can use it for multiple uses, not just like, oh, we should have done this, or oh, we shouldn't have done this, or the door shouldn't have been there, or, so we've been trying to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be very interested in any assistance,
Yeah.
moving forward to get that
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, for sure.
I think one thing that would help, I mean, you have a price, you could probably get an updated price
We'd
from
have
the
to, right.
man, and I think I said something about, you need some bumper pads on some of those walls.
Yes, we
And
did,
so
we
would
did
need
talk
to
about that.
Kind of guesstimate how many would, I'm talking about, nobody's cracking it open. Maybe measure, or we have the floor plans, probably don't even need to measure. Find them and see how much it would cost, because that's an important
something-
aspect, especially if they're running around in socks.
Is that something that we would need on the walls, or is it something I should look into, like, in
I
terms
wouldn't
of?
want my kid playing with
I think
that.
it should be there, okay, okay.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I can set up we can have Eric, the guy who did the flooring, because
Yeah.
I don't think you were on when I talked with Eric
No,
originally.
no.
Eric would be more than willing to come back up and we can have a conversation, and
Okay.
he can dive into, I was pretty glazed over by the time he was done with the different types of flooring and everything.
There's so many choices
So
ranging
there's-
from low
yeah.
end that doesn't last to
Right,
super high end.
Right,
Right.
right. So,
right, okay,
yeah, the whole committee, we could do something, so
okay,
if you guys want to.
yeah,
And he may know something on the wall, that bumper stuff
Right,
too.
what
Because like I
might
said,
be,
they
right.
do it, I mean, they go to New York City, I mean, they do municipalities, all shapes and sizes, so.
okay. Okay. Is there anything else, Catherine, that I didn't cover?
No, you covered a lot, you did a
I
great
did a
job.
lot, right? Got it all, okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Not a problem. Definitely really like the energy, because, we've got our own ideas, but, if we pitch something one way, we need support, and did what Joe said there, and there's a lot of ideas for this space, and I've always felt, that I know what the elementary school is, and, the poor kids don't have a lot of space there, and this is an awesome area, a chance for them, but not everybody's thinking, those,
Yeah,
that's
we've been
being,
having to be very
you know,
protective of the big room.
I bet.
So if any chance you get to promote it, about what your ideas are, it's always a good thing to let the community know.
like, with the library, I mean, that was, they came in and told us about, we were thinking, tear the old town clerk building down and maybe parking spot. No, here's a green space here, and it's a little bit better area for, even when, if rec and library want to get
Yeah.
together and there's some
She's
outside.
thinking of a pavilion out front.
Oh, yeah,
So it's just great to get input, from
Yeah.
rec, your library, everybody else. We may not see it, so it gets put in front of us there, and we can see if we can act on it and put it in front of the voters and get it approved.
yeah, right. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
do it out of order, but, and if Jesse's willing, do you have any place to? Sam and Greg are supposed to be on a little bit, not sure what their availability is going to be if they get called out as a unit too.
Oh,
So
so,
you wanna have them now, you mean?
Yeah, if possible. Well, they're taking one at a time, so it'll be Greg first, and then Sam.
okay, so they're another executive.
Yes, the rest of the evening basically.
You haven't let me-
is-
What's that? Yeah.
Jesse.
Jesse's gonna, well, maybe he could give a quick update on something.
Yeah, I can talk till there, I mean, however you wanna do it. If you wanna grab them now or however you wanna do it. So I've got,
On the armory.
yeah, armory stuff. So they, as I was saying to Marlo, they've started, they're in there, Merrill, the carpenter's in there, he's torn out walls, rebuilt walls. Richie and Dan, they're in there cutting holes, service windows cut, doorways are cut. It wasn't, it was narrow, we had to widen for ADA, so they've started. We had a snafu with the vault. So if you recall, and if you guys want updated maps, or not maps, but plans, there's gonna be another one coming, but I don't think I've given you guys these for a while. Not that they've changed a whole hell of a lot, but if you want to take one and pass it around. So if you recall, Billy Joe and Mary's room was on the first room on the left, then it was gonna be the conference room, then it was gonna be the vault in the back room, in the back corner. So we hit a snafu with, there's a roof drain that comes down where the vault was gonna be, where the vault expansion was gonna be. Literally 3/4 of that roof was draining into that one spot, so, and it was gonna be right smack dab in the middle of the vault. So we really couldn't move the roof drain. The existing vault that's there, it's not an independent structure, of course, so we couldn't use that vault, but there's still a concrete ceiling. So we had the structural engineer here last week, and they were talking about how we had to take that concrete ceiling out. We were gonna literally have to rip the roof off to take the concrete ceiling out. We had all this, I mean, it was like, where are we gonna go with the roof drain? The roof drain's, I don't know, it's 8-inch, 12-inch. So it wasn't like we could just 90 it above the new vault roof and, have it come out. So I posed the question of I said, well, what about making the vault adjacent off from Billy Joe and Mary's office? Basically building a little room off from there and doing it that way. So there was a bunch of conversation between the structural engineer, the architect, everybody. The architect's like, it's gonna be more money doing that. So Friday, we had a meeting with the architect, the engineer, Richie, Pierre came, and myself, and we went around and we were like, okay, so what the hell are we gonna do here? How can we fix this? So we landed on changing, so now it's gonna be, instead of the conference room, it's gonna be the vault. So the vault is gonna be adjacent to Billy Joe and Mary's room, so now they will be, and it's gonna actually solve a few problems. So before, we were gonna have to cut a window in Billy Joe's office so she could see eyes on the researchers, because they would pull the books out, do their research in the conference room, that way they could see. Now with the vault being in that middle room, they can pull the books out, the door will be where that door is in her office, but they'll do their research right in the backs on the other end of her office. So she can see everything, so that's good to code. The building will fit inside that conference room, because we basically have to build a separate building is what we have to do. It has to be an independent structure, it has to be fire rated. They did core samples on the floor on Friday. We were hoping for a 6-inch slab on the floor. It's 4 inches here, it's 5 inches here, it's like 3 inches over here. So the engineer is working right now to make sure that's kosher. 99.9% sure that's going to be kosher. We're going to have to cut the floor out of there. We'll have to have them come in, cut the floor, re-pour a new slab. Richie will build the block wall, and then we have to pour a concrete ceiling on it after. They assured us that they've done pouring of ceilings, and they've only got 15 inches of space to pour above that. They've assured us that they've done that. This is a normal thing, this is no big deal. So I slept a lot better Friday night after that, because when we had that whole roof drain and everything, we were ripping the ceiling off and the roof out and everything. It was like, how are we gonna do this? So the conference room will be in that back corner. So like I said, we're gonna flip flop it around. We'll just frame up some walls, and the conference room can be in that back corner. We'll have a lot more room there, so if future, if we ever decide we need to go bigger, well, you can just go bigger, but
It'll
we'll
be
cross-
more like this room
Right, it'll be, yeah. It'll be
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot.
instead of smaller.
Yeah.
Because the other one wasn't bigger.
So this was the original room that they thought they were gonna have to put another egress in because of.
Correct. Yeah, which
So
we didn't
now
have to.
that's not
Yeah,
even.
not even, so like I said, that wall, the walls are still gonna stay there, they're just basically, they're gonna put the new wall is gonna be an inch off, so the vault wall is gonna be an inch off, basically, it's enough for him to put Richie to put his hand behind the block to set him up in, so there's gonna be a little air gap. There isn't too much, we got some baseboard in that, we gotta take it out, Aaron's gonna come here, they're gonna figure out a game plan of what to do and how to do it, so. This is gonna be a hell of a lot easier and cheaper, a lot easier.
And it's easier, because we have to keep eyes on it, so it's actually easier on us not to have to try to be in two places at once.
Yeah, you would almost have to put cameras in the other room or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Have a monitor, you're doing
Yeah,
your
trust
work. Like,
people most of the time, but then you don't know some of these people, and
right.
they don't want a certain document in those books anymore. I mean, it's not past people these days
Oh,
to
yeah.
rip something.
So
out.
this
You
is.
should definitely have eyes
So
on it.
they basically go in here, get their stuff, then come back through your room and come into this corner
I
here.
think there's a door
Yeah, how do you
going
get it?
into mine.
Yeah, so there will be a door, the vault door will be right there. So the vault door, they'll lock it, just basically what we do now. So the vault door will be there and then we'll
So there
have some
won't be one
tables here.
into the big room.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so there will,
This
this,
is fine.
yeah, that door will be infilled.
Yeah.
So it'll just be, there will be no doorway
No
there.
doorway.
The vault that's there, we're gonna keep, we're just gonna leave it as is, it's gonna be existing. There's
We're
no
gonna put
sense in-
some of our important files, but not as important files, and they'll still be just as safe. I
We
mean,
can
trust
still-
that vault that's
yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
think it's silly to have to do a new one, but state tells us we have to, so.
Yep.
So we'll put our lister files and our zoning files in the extra one.
Right.
Yeah, we can still lock it, we can still do everything. It's
Yeah.
still technically a 2-hour rated
And this is
vault.
only gonna be 2 rooms now and
It's gonna
not
be
3?
2 rooms because they were too small. Couldn't really put only but a desk and one chair.
And he's got that all ripped out now and framed up, Merrill did, so.
So
That
who's,
we can do wood too.
So who's
I was
missing
at the
out?
5/8.
Nobody, we were gonna have a spare.
okay.
Yeah, it was for
Margot's
Sean.
is gonna be in the teen center.
Oh, yeah, I see his name in the paper. He's moving up in the CUD world.
Yeah, everything else is the same, it's just that, the vault flipper.
Excuse me. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dean, I'm sorry.
No, does the vault, does it come out into the big room or not?
No.
Just, the only access will be in Billy Joe's office, that's the only place.
Okay.
And they're gonna come into here, you said, to do the research?
So the
Yeah.
initial one was showing that the
Well,
vault
somewhere
was
down here.
sticking
Yeah,
out.
well,
Okay, so they have to come right through.
Pass.
Okay.
Yeah, so before.
So this, but this is gonna be the vault, you're saying?
Yeah, so before.
I think they were
Right.
showing it
we
that it
would
was
have
going
come
to,
out here.
Oh,
I
because
think we
they,
were gonna try
Now
to
we
make
don't
it
cut that
go
window.
Right.
So-
the other direction, but that's what it looks like on paper.
What's that?
On paper, it looks like the old way was going to have the vault coming out to the big room.
No, I don't, I think they just, you're talking this here, that's just a measurement, that's all.
Oh.
No, it was still gonna be,
Yeah.
it was still gonna be all flush
Okay.
inside,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They make it rough on
I
asphalt.
gotta
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back. Mechanical drawings 101.
Yeah, if you look at the schedule on the side, I don't read those enough, and it's like, holy moly, for the
Yeah.
doors and the windows and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things, again, I don't know, just for ease of use, I think, is, keeping one contractor to do the concrete work. Just because I think it's gonna be a lot I mean, we're gonna have somebody like a Harrison's, I'm thinking, I mean, I'd like to use local as possible to pour in a 15-inch space. I just don't know how, I don't even know how the hell they're gonna get in there, because it's not like they're gonna have to pull, you know, it's like pouring a building, you know, inside on the other side of the wall, you either gotta go up and over, or you've gotta, you know, it's a little bit, the floor is one thing. They've gotta, you know, we'll have the cutters come in, cut the floor out, and the way the engineer is saying it, he wants kind of 5 inches in the middle and then like 8 inches around the outside edge because where the blocks, because those are all gonna be a filled 8-inch block, yeah, 8-inch block.
So, is it okay that, if you wanna use somebody specific, can we use Harrison, because they're probably more specified in something like this, or do you want us to?
I don't think it's really not a lot of yards.
No.
No, it just takes.
No, but it's just
very
special.
takes the right
qualified-
It's just, yeah. it's
Yeah,
just
but
trying-
if you're gonna bid it out, I don't think you're gonna have anybody respond to bids.
I don't think
I
so.
think
And it
it's
is
just
gonna be slick
a
because
direct
they
hire
can-
on this, the
They
case
can
of
back right in there. That is the nice part about, you know, we can open that door up and they can back in there and hopefully pump in. I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they won't do it that way. I'm not
Window
sure.
or something.
It might
Yeah.
be all,
It might could be. Yeah.
It very well could be.
Yeah. I don't know how it is. Yeah. I actually don't know. Brian never really said what the thickness of that. Did he say the thickness of what the ceiling is? I know the floor is 5 in the center and 8 on the outside edge, but I don't know what he said for the thickness of the
I
ceiling.
think we were able to get away with 4 because remember we were going to cut into that beam
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
because it was
I
one
think
of
it
those.
is 4.
the other
Like-
thing too, when you do, sometimes when you do concrete ceilings, you have a steel form to set it on, so there's some
Yeah. There is.
steel.
Oh, there's still play. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
There's all.
yeah.
Steel.
There's an I beam in there. There's gonna be an I beam in there because there's gonna be an I beam in there because of that whole independent structure. So if
Yeah.
the rest of the building comes down, the vault stays.
Yep.
Stays there. So
Because it's got completely independent.
Who's doing the blocks?
Richie Ray has been doing it. So
Does he have a suggestion for the ceiling?
he doesn't do any of the concrete that. I mean, we talked about it, and he had suggested somebody like a Harrison's or somebody like that. He had suggested Vermont concrete cutters to cut the floor out, just because they come in with better tool. You know, they can get in closer to the edge and they can cut stuff out. But again, I'm just going on kind of his suggestion. And, you know, at first he said, well, you could, you know, maybe go local guy to pour the pad and then have somebody else, but it might be easier. And you know, if you have Kevin come in and go, hey, listen, we need a pad, we need to, you know, like do it all in one, you know, just a lot easier that way. So
They'll have the pumps and stuff to do it with, and
right. In my experience, I mean, I don't do, but when we did it Bates, I mean, they poured a 40 by 100. It's a little different, but they poured it in, I mean, a couple hours and they were gone, done. So,
yeah.
you know,
That's what they do.
yeah, that's exactly. So.
And this is, it's probably a good time to find them because it's starting to slow down for them
And
guys.
you might like the work
Because it's been hard.
It's 60 degrees in there.
Oh.
You know, it's warm in there, so everybody.
Yeah, might get some good deals.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, so and then like I said with the cutters, I mean literally somebody can back a dump trailer. They can back right up to that way. I mean we've done it. You and I, Phil. You can back right up to there and throw it right in the dump trailer and out you go. So that door is nice. But yeah, so anyway, we're just waiting on, I'm waiting on Brian to come up with to make sure that it's kosher. Once it's kosher, then I'll start getting those guys there to come, so. Everything else is in good shape, we just need to, you and I need to figure out the door stuff. Cause the doorways, like I said, he's got them all width, wide, everything ready to go. Yeah, and then bathroom stuff, because if you notice on there, they changed the bathrooms around. What's the men's bathroom is the women's is the men's because of ADA stuff, so there is a little bit of smashing and crashing there.
And we're not using the showers.
Yeah,
It says shower, but we're not using it.
yeah. And disregard, he's got a doorway to the showers, it looks like it's shutting off the showers.
There will be showers there though, won't there?
We weren't, I mean, there is showers, we weren't going to.
Oh, yeah, because
Upgrade
if you're gonna have kids and stuff playing and somebody wants to use a shower afterwards.
I mean, we can have them, we weren't really, we weren't gonna
planning on it.
we weren't gonna update them. Again, I don't know code wise how that works, because it's like a giant community shower, so it's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's really no place, and it's just a little area.
There's no
that you can
privacy.
change,
There's no privacy.
One
It's a
big
big.
open shower with like 12
Yeah. Yeah, so. Yeah, but like I said, he's got it so it looks like it's in, the shower door is infilled and then you're accessing it from the big room. That's not, we're not doing anything with that, so disregard that. But,
I don't need a motion to have them go, have Harrison's go ahead and do the, see if they can do the concrete.
I'll move to have Harrison's do the concrete if they can.
if we can, right.
I'll second it.
Dean made the motion, Phil seconded the motion to, well, Harrison's do the concrete job if it's capable of doing. Any more discussion? If having none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Alright.
Yeah, so we'll get those once we get that figured out. The only other thing I had, so a couple weeks ago, we got the circulators in, hooked up, wired into the furnace. Everything was good, heat was on, everything was running. Then all of a sudden the blow-off valve was blowing off hot water, blowing off. So Aaron, I called Aaron at Mountain Air. It's kind of the one we've been using for our general, because we gotta have a commercial boiler service, so they come right off and they've been really good. So he drained the pressure tank off because they didn't know what was going on. They drained the pressure tank off, recharged it back up again. Knock on wood, it hasn't blown off, but we've got a slow leak somewhere in the pressure tank. There's one pressure valve on the front of the boiler for the system. And we've gained 2 to 3 pounds of pressure since we've done it 2 weeks ago. So it tells, Aaron said it tells us that there's a slow bladder leak somewhere there. Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens
Gonna be a
10
block.
years, yeah, who knows? He said, I asked the tech who came out who did it, and I said, what's the age of this? And he goes, probably 10 to 15 years is what they're thinking the age of the tank is. So I said, well, do a quote up. I said, one of the issues is, I'm sure, is trying to get the trying to get that stuff, and it's got just the expansion tank is an 8 to 10 week lead time to get a new expansion tank. So I had him do a quote up. Basically, he would change. We can do this a la carte, or we can do the whole thing, or if we can just roll with it. Change the backflow preventer, change the expansion tank. There's a boiler fast fill valve, and the safety valve. And I've got, that's a quote each for you if you guys want to take a look at it. He kind of gave us a little bit of a deal if you do it all together or if you do it separate. I've got it's like $5 grand to do it separate, or $4,800 to do it all together, $4,881. Again, like I said, I don't know, we don't know if it's gonna be, it might be fine, but I mean, when he drained that pressure tank off, it was pretty black and gross. And, yeah.
So what you're saying though is, if it does give out, and we don't have anything ordered, it's gonna be 2 months.
To get one
With no heat.
with no heat.
in February.
Yeah.
That's when it's gonna happen, February.
They changed. That's the second pressure tank they changed in there because they had one mounted to the ceiling in there, and then they put this new one in. He said, like I said, it's 10 to 15 years old.
That's what they're figuring
They're
it
figuring roughly is what it is. Well, that's got to be it's a pretty good sized pressure tank. So basically, what it would do is he put like I said, they change up the backflow preventer, but they'd also put a pressure gauge on the line coming into the boiler to see if it's basically it would pinpoint where, right now there's just a pressure gauge on the front of the boiler, and that doesn't really tell us if the pressure is screwing up on the front end, on the back end, where it is. It would be able to pinpoint some more if we have issues, but at that point we've changed just about everything on that boiler, knock on wood. I mean, circulator motors are done. I mean, there really isn't. The burner is a natural gas burner. That burner isn't very old, so again, knock on wood. But
say we move ahead and get the whole thing
I
done.
think it's gonna save some headache later on.
Well, it's,
I mean,
I
it could be disastrous.
yeah.
Well, and in the old days, you would just say, well, if the tanks, I mean, they probably had those pressure tanks hanging around. You'd be like, yep, okay, when it dies, it dies.
Right, and come replace it.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Now we don't have that luxury.
did we just lose
Cinema
it?
Central, Enosburgh Fire within Monday Night Test Zone. Cinema Central, Enosburgh Fire within Monday Night Test Zone. Cinema Central, clearing it.
And Mountain has been, I don't know, I mean, they're gonna do our service, because we gotta have that tagged every year, they're doing our service, and they've been, knock on wood, they've been really good to work with, too. Like, they come pretty quick. The day I called, they came that afternoon, so, and that was.
There's 3 of them that gotta go home.
Right.
That's, I was gonna say, there's
There's
actually,
4 of them, yeah,
there's-
there's 4 guys.
that's
here.
another-
Say,
good
there's
thing it's
two, yeah,
local.
there's Aaron, Tyler, there's
Yeah.
Kennison boy.
Yeah, and there's somebody else too, I can't
Yeah.
remember who it is.
Yeah,
Oh, the Kennison boy from Overy Road?
Yeah.
yeah. Because matter of fact, when we were talking about the vault, there's a Modine where the vault, with the old location the vault was, and I called up Tyler, and he was just like, yep, I'll have him go take a look at it, he can, I mean, it's boom, right off, it's not like, well, we'll be there in, you know, a month, so.
I feel we should move ahead with this.
so the whole project would be 4,800.
48, yeah, and then I've got,
81.
yeah, if we bought it a la carte as we needed, it'd be 5261.
Yeah, and probably some alternate heat source system in the meantime too.
Right.
Do a la carte.
The good part about that building is once you get it heated, it does hold.
Yeah.
It holds for, once you get that concrete warm, it's, because when we had that issue last year with circulator motors, I mean, there were some cold nights where we didn't have any heat in there.
It's gonna cost more if we get caught in a bind.
Yeah, we're gonna be in a bind, serious bind. The electric heaters isn't gonna heat that place. You know?
Like I said, I go every day and I've been checking the pressure gauge, and like I said, we've lost a couple pounds, or we gained a couple pounds in pressure, because it blew off at
Right.
45, and I mean, because we were watching, it was like, what's going on here, and then it let off, and, but like he said, he goes, you never know, you don't know, you can't really pinpoint, could be this, could be this, could be this, but like I talked to him earlier today, and he says, you're definitely losing air somewhere, just very slowly.
Mhm.
We need a motion?
Yep.
I'll move.
I'll second,
On which one? The whole thing?
whole thing.
Sure.
Motion made by Phil and seconded by Pierre to do the boiler upgrade, entire upgrade for 4881. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes.
That's it?
That's all I get.
Well, he's got something under executive.
Yeah, I guess,
Oh, you do?
yeah, for that.
What's going on with Tractor Supply? Where are they at? Do you know? Just
They were supposed to open, I went last week, they were supposed to open the 3rd. They were gonna have a soft opening. But I drove back by Friday? When did I finish it? Friday? It was Friday. And they changed it to the 10th.
You've got a tour though.
I got a tour, yeah, I went in, they're, I'm sure it's probably some inventory and help issues. I chatted with the manager. She had hired 25 people initially, she was down to 20, and she figured she was probably gonna settle on 16 to 18 is what she figured they were gonna settle. But I'm guessing, like I said, I know every day they had inventory coming in, the day they was there, I mean, a pile of stuff coming in, so.
have you issued their CO?
I don't actually have it, since the bank hasn't required one yet, everything has been So we had a little bit of a snafu with their rooftop units, the covers. So the bylaws, you're not supposed to, the rooftop units are supposed to be, you know, they have a facade on the front of them. They ordered the wrong ones, and basically they weren't able to use them because there's a natural gas line that goes into each of those, and they would have had to cut them, and it would have screwed up the structure. And so they were good. So I went back up with the paperwork and I said, we gotta do this, guys, this is what was approved, this is what it was, and they did, and they're up there now, they've got them, so. Everything else has been
They've been,
spot on, they've been great. W.R. Newman was the company out of Nashville, and they were Chris Isel was his last name, originally from Lake Placid, wicked nice guy, very nice guy. They had a little bit of, nothing with me, they had a little bit of a snafu with the front extinguisher there. There was wrong size pipe that was put in, supposed to be an 8-inch, but it was a 6-inch, but the flows were adequate enough, so for some reason the engineer had 2 prints. He had a 6-inch print and he had an 8-inch print. So I don't know. But like I said, they tested the flows, they checked everything, and they were adequate enough for what they needed to do, so.
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it was good, smooth work working with.
Yeah, it was funny, Chris Collins Jr., the guy was Cash Holman, early 20s he was, and he was kind of like their project manager there, and I think that's what happened, is he ordered a specific rooftop unit, or that cover, the facade for it, and it just, when it came, it just wouldn't work, so. And like I said, and they were good about it. They just didn't slap them up, you know, cut a hole in them, slap them up there. And 6 months from now, when we get a windstorm, because basically it's an aluminum panel with tin on the outside of it, and it has an aluminum frame. He goes, if I cut that, it's just nothing's gonna hold, you know. And they could have gone blowing off in the wind. So.
Good.
That discussion on Longley Bridge, only should be a few minutes, huh?
Oh yeah, it's just, so I talked to Sarah like I had been instructed to. She was really excited, so I think her and a few people from the Conservation Commission went up, found where it was. I gave her some maps and some deeds, and she went up, and they're really excited and would like you guys to approve the acceptance of that gifted land. I mean, it will entail us paying some legal fees for the transfer and whatever it takes from the state. And there is some taxes for this year that are owed, it's $800, which we would abate. So, but it's a nice gift, and she thinks that there'd be, it's like a big rock, she can picture, like, you know, kids climbing on it, maybe some picnic table. It's not too far from the town forest.
Yeah, that's what I thought, if it fit in for her, it's useful for us, but if not, it's not.
She thought it was great. She's got good judgment.
Green space.
So we'll need a motion to move on, approving that. It's got a name too, doesn't it?
Her name is Sue Quarles.
I'll move to accept the land, I guess the
Free land.
free donated land, or however you want to word it, of Sue Coral.
I'll second.
Dean made a motion and Phil seconded the motion to accept the land being donated by Sue Quarles. Any more discussion? If have none, all those in favor of accepting this land signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. There. Moving right along, basically now is all executive session stuff.
I'm gonna go into executive.
Personnel.
We can second that.
Peter made a motion to go into executive, Phil seconded that motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor of going to executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. So we're going to executive session approximately 7 o'clock.